You missed this.
For fall?
What are you doing?
missed this? Yeah, what are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Hi, guys. Welcome back to
Drink, Read, Fabio.
I'm Kate Brimmer.
And I'm Sophia Kayafis. And in this episode, we're going to be talking all about our fall recommendations.
Yes.
Look at our spooky guys. Alright, and we're going to be telling you guys a little of our fall TBRs, books that we really want to read this fall season. So let's get started. First, we're going to start with the Mindf series by St. Abbey. We have a whole episode about this, so go listen. But basically what this book is about is a serial killer female falls in love with a FBI agent male who is trying to track her down, and they kind of have a romance, and they don't know that the other, that she is the serial killer. So it's very fun, super thriller type vibes, but look up the trigger warnings because there are a lot for this book.
Yes, definitely. Next, we're going to talk about Where the Crawdad Sings. So I feel like this is such a cozy little booky book.
Sure.
It's about a gal who lives in the swamp, which kind of gives more of a summery feel, but I feel like because of how she's in a cabin and you're all cozy, it's kind of nice. I feel like it's very tame and a really good cozy read for you non-thriller or spooky readers, where you want something that still gives you the fall vibes, but isn't going to be spooky or giving you the nightmares at night.
Yeah.
So it's cute. It has a little bit of romance. It has a lot of life lessons and life skills. And it was really a fun, cozy read. Do you have anything to say on it? I know you read it too.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's about this girl, Kaya. She grows up without a family. She lives on her own in the swamp, so she has to learn how to live by herself and survive, and the town doesn't really treat her well. She's kind of shunned because of she's dirty and poor, and everyone just kind of judges her, and it's kind of just about her learning how to survive and using the knowledge that she has on the marsh to her advantage, and the love that she has for nature to grow and become a successful woman.
Yeah, I think that's why it gives me such a fall vibes, because it's so nature based.
Yeah, it is very much about nature.
The minute that fall hits, it's when I want to be outside in the leaves with the trees and the little squirrels.
Yes.
You know, it's very fall to me.
My next recommendation is the Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This totally gives me like very Halloween, like witchy vibes, even though it's not Halloween or witchy, but
good.
Basically, it's about it takes place in the past and the present, but in the past, it's about this woman who owns this secret apothecary that only women in the town know about, and she creates these concoctions that are poisonous to kill, she creates these concoctions that are poisons to give to women to use against the awful men in their lives.
So she's technically a witch.
Yeah, so it's kind of witchy because she's creating these poisons, and they're like kind of evil potions, but like to do good. And then in the present day, this woman takes a trip to where this book takes place. It's in London, and she finds one of the bottles, and it kind of takes her on this hunt to figure out and try to find this lost apothecary.
So it's like flashbacky and present day. So one of those where it kind of uncovers as you read.
Yes.
More adventure-y thing. Next we have Archer's Voice, which is a trending book right now that I wanted to recommend because it is a romance, but it has a little bit more, for me, when I think of like the seasons and books that I'm reading, like the really cutesy, sweet like fluffy cotton candy romances feel like summer to me. Like that's when I want to read all the cutesy romances. Is like fun, carefree, let's sit by the pool and like hang out and fall in love. So for me, when it comes to romances, I feel like I'm looking forward in the fall to stories with a little bit more depth and a little bit more heart that kind of give you that like more cozy feeling and has a little bit more of like a realistic kind of vibe, especially after a summer of reading all the cotton candy sweet romance novels. And this one is about a boy named Archer who goes through a very traumatic experience as a young boy who leaves him mute. So he has to learn how to navigate life without having a voice. And he meets this gal who also goes through a traumatic experience, who kind of needs to get away and run away from her life. And she knows sign language, so she is one of the first people in the town who wants to get to know Archer. And it's really sweet and really cute, and it gives you those like really nice, cozy romance vibes.
Next, we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is another one that I feel like gives kind of Halloween type vibes. It basically is about these two sisters who have always wanted to go to this carnival of sorts, and it's never been around for them to go, and finally they're invited. And so they sneak out and go to this carnival, but it's not really what they thought, and so they kind of have to play this dangerous and very kind of sneaky game where there's lies and riddles and things to try to get their wish, which ends up being for Scarlet, the main character in this book, to get her sister back because she's been taken. So it has a lot of magic, mystery. The way that they describe the costumes and the vibe of the book feel very like Victorian and like Halloween. Like it gives that kind of spooky, like magical vibe. I feel like it's very good for this season.
And like getting off that, because I also read that book and think it's also great for fall, is that the whole time they're playing characters and they're dressing up.
Yeah.
So it's basically Halloween for like a whole week in the town. They're going about their day playing different characters and kind of putting on this facade to play this magical mystery game, which is Halloween.
Yeah, very Halloween.
Basically just Halloween in a book. Next, I'm going to talk about Regretting You, which is a classically Colleen Hoover book. One of her, another one of her very popular reads. This one gets a little bit even more intense than the last book I recommended. It is a romance based on a very difficult situation. So it revolves around a young single mom who is kind of struggling how to be a mom and, raise a daughter. And like just a lot of, it's hard to explain what this book is about in the plot because a lot of it would give it away, and I don't want to spoil anything because this is another book that kind of, the truth comes out as you read and you're left in the dark for a lot of things. And so because of that, I just want to let you know that it's really good. It revolves around a very traumatic experience that happens. And, I also love it because, for me, Gilmore Girls is fall vibes as well. The show, very fall vibes. And they're a single mom-daughter duo, and they're a single mom-daughter duo. So, like, I already am associating it with fall and, like, that kind of relationship and those vibes. And in the fall, I want to read something that's going to keep me on my toes. And this book definitely keeps you on your toes while still being a romance novel, not making you spook, and giving you fall vibes without the horror aspect.
Yes. Next, everyone knows The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This has been on like everybody's fall recommendations because it just feels like that. It's about this girl named Avery, and she's a high school student, and one day she is bestowed the full inheritance of this old man that she's never met, and has to move to his mansion and live with his entire family, who did not get inherited basically anything compared to his whole fortune that he does own. So it's like very mysterious, and once she gets to the mansion, she has to go through and solve all these riddles and their secret passageways and compartments to try to find out why she was chosen and what her connection is to the family and what is going on with this family, because there's so many secrets, and it's really fun. And I'm on the second one right now, and it's really fun.
Do you like it more? I know you're kind of not disappointed by this one, but it didn't meet your expectations because there were so many extremely high reviews on it.
I think I do like the second one more because now I'm like more invested in the characters, and I think it's very fast paced and there's more puzzle solving, whereas this one is very much like figuring out what it's gonna be like to live in this scenario.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fun. Next, I have Shadow and Bone. Well, basically the whole series. It is so fantasy, so Halloween vibes for me. Like, fall is a time to dig into some fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. That's what fall is all about.
Yeah.
The vampires, the wizards, the witches, magic, all that jazz. So obviously I had to include my girl Shadow and Bone. It revolves around two best friends who were orphans together at a very young age and cling to each other. And basically one ends up having magic and the other doesn't, because in this world, based on just your genetics, some people are born with magical powers and some aren't. And the ones that aren't are not treated as well as the ones with magic. They're kind of praised a little bit, and she ends up being a little bit more special than you think she would be, or like what most of them are, you know. She's like even more rare. So it's super fun. It follows this huge journey, you know. It gets a little bit dark, a little bit twisted. Magic's involved, lots of like fighting and adventure and a whole journey, which is super fun.
Next, we have the romance book of all romance books. Honestly, you can read this anytime because it's just great. But this is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. We've talked about this book so much, so we're not going to rant, but basically it's friends, childhood best friends to lovers. They grow up living next to each other at this lake house, and they have a falling out, and then they are forced to kind of come back together for a certain event, and it kind of brings up old feelings, so it goes back and forth from the past and when they were growing up and becoming friends as children and bonding over books, and then in the present day and trying to fix this friendship and maybe see if there's something more there. And it's just so cozy and wholesome and cute, and it's just good for any time of the year.
Next, I have the Crave series. I take off my covers, so it's just red. But I promise it is a vampire book, so like, it's Halloween, fall vibes, and it's basically Twilight meets Harry Potter. I've talked about this a little bit before, but if you haven't heard about it, it is so fun. Harry Potter is also a great, you know, fall vibe book as well.
Totally.
They started off in the fall because, you know, that's typically when school starts. And so they talk about being in that kind of climate a lot. There's werewolves, there's vampires, there's witches, there's any, you know, mythical creature that is stereotypical to Halloween is in this book. They go on adventures, they solve riddles, there's a whole series, and the next book is coming out soon, so get on it so that you can be caught up and read the next one.
Well,
Super excited.
There are a lot already.
There's 4.
Yeah. So the next one, as in the fifth book.
The fifth book.
Not
yes,
the second book to this one.
Yes. The 5th book is coming out soon.
Yeah.
So get ready, friends, because I'm so excited to read it. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot about it once I've read it. So it's going to be fun. They are, though, warning you, these are thick boys.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a commitment. Like, just the first one alone is already 600 pages.
It's like A Court of Thorns and Roses.
It's even worse. They're bigger than A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Good.
So it is a commitment, but they're so good and they move so fast, so fast that you don't even feel like you're reading this many pages because she fits so much stuff in. So if you're somebody kind of like Sophia where you love really quick paced stories that move really quick, this is the book for you because it really just, she shoves so much adventure in each and every book, which is super fun.
Now we're going to get onto some spooky territory right here. So we got The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This book, so good. This is perfect for fall if you love a thriller. This is a psychological thriller. He's a criminal psychotherapist. His name's Theo.
Fun.
Basically, it's about this woman who comes home one day randomly and shoots her husband in the face 6 times. And she won't talk to anybody. She just basically becomes silent and won't talk to lawyers, nothing. So they basically just are like, well, she murdered him and she's sent to this place with insane people. And this criminal psychotherapist, Theo, comes and he really, really wants to try to uncover what happened. And the whole book is just him trying to get to know her and understand why she did it and see what really happened. And the twist at the end, you're not ready for it. I was not ready for it. I did not guess it from a million miles away. And I usually kind of guess. So y'all need to read it. It's so good.
And now we have Throne of Glass, which is one of my all-time favorite series, written by one of my all-time favorite galleys. We love you, sweet girlie, Sarah J. Maas. She's the best. So I'm recommending this for those girls out there and boys, those people, those peeps out there who want a commitment for fall, who want a whole program, a whole adventure to take them on a fantastical adventure with a little bit of spookiness, a little bit of horror involved, all of the above, all the spooky vibes you could ever want in a full series, because there are 8 books? 8 books to the series, so it will take you a long time, but it truly is everything you could ever want out of fall. Any vibe that you want in like the fall season, you will get out of this series. You have a little bit of romance. You have the cozy nature vibes. You have fantasy. You have a little bit of spook in there. You have suspense. You have adventure. Literally anything you could ever want is in this series. It's so good. Highly recommend. And it's just a good time. It's a great time to read this series.
What do you think, Sarah J. Maas? You ever read A Court of Thorns and Roses? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
This is your moment.
Why are you watching our videos if you haven't read it yet?
Go read it.
Please.
Last book we have is for our ladies and gents and theys and thems that want something that feels kind of spooky and is a thriller but isn't like too crazy or you're gonna feel like scared. This is a YA thriller mystery called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This has been on a lot of people's lists for fall as well because it totally fits that vibe. It's basically about this girl who's kind of become this like Nancy Drew character in her town and is trying to uncover a murder that had happened a couple years back. And it kind of takes her down this rabbit hole that she didn't expect, and then her life, because she's looking for this, is now in danger.
Rip.
And then the books kind of all connect back to this initial story. So it's not just like her solving different mysteries. And
all revolves around the same concept.
Yeah, sort of. Like they're all separate, but they all come back to this one thing.
Like you can't read the second one without reading the first one. It's not one of those.
No. So it's really fun and is fun thriller mystery, but like not scary. it's just really like cozy.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Those are all of our recommendations, but now we're going to move on to what's on our TBRs for fall. If you guys want to read along with us.
Yes.
Please do, because I'm sure lots of these books are going to be talked about on the pod. So what's on your TBRs?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I have like a couple like ones where I've starred them where I'm like, these are the ones that I want to read. So I just started Shatter Me, so I really want to continue reading Shatter Me series. I think it's so fun. It's like dystopian fantasy, and that totally fits this like vibe. Then for our book club book called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I'm not really sure what it's about, but like witches. And also
the cover's really
cute. The cover gives total Halloween vibes.
It's really
so cute. Like it just makes me want to read it. And I'm gonna try to finish the Inheritance games. I'm a little over halfway in the second book, and then I really want to read I Am the Ghost in Your House. I just really want a ghost story. Like I've been wanting this for a while. I just want a ghost story, and I don't know why it's so hard to find. And the cover of this book is so
cute.
Like it's just so pretty.
Really.
So those are like my main ones, but then I have The X-Hex, which is another cute like witchy book that gives very Halloween town vibes, I hear. We both want to read Verity by Colleen Hoover.
I do.
Because that's perfect for this time. It's like really crazy. I want to read a Riley Sager book because if you guys watch Haley Pham, she's been raving about Riley Sager. So I either want to read Home Before Dark or The House Across the Lake, which are both like thrillers. And hopefully I can get to Shadow and Bone as well because Kate has raved about it and I just really need to get into it because, you know, everyone loves it.
And it's fantasy like time right now.
It's fantasy time.
Fantasy.
It's fantasy time.
And Six of Crows is after Shadow and Bone, and everybody raves about Six of Crows.
Yeah,
so
that's where I really want to get to.
But you have to be a purist.
Yeah.
And start with Shadow and Bone.
So
because it just, people will say, even my friends that have read only Six of Crows, there's a girl that I work with who has only read it, and she is a big Six of Crows fan still, but she said at the very beginning, she was like, I was confused. I was very confused.
Yeah.
So, read Shadow and Bone first, and then move on to Six of Crows.
Yes.
Please.
So those are my main books. Yeah.
So right now, which is kind of like starting off, I've just like basically started off my fall season with my fall books. And because at this point, I don't know about Sophia, but I'm so tired of romance. Yeah.
I just read Shatter Me and now I'm on the Inheritance game. So I'm like, no more romance right now.
I'm so over romance. I'm so over like the cutie little summer fling vibes. So I'm really deep diving into thrillers and fantasy and like just like going into it. I'm over it. I'm ready for different things. So right now I'm in the middle of Every Last Secret, which guys, it's crazy vibes. It's crazy. Like it revolves around a picture perfect couple who, you know, they're super rich. The woman is a stay-at-home mom who was like the head of every different club in the country club and like charity event. And the husband is a super hot CEO who like owns everything, and all the other wives' husbands are ugly because they just married them for money. But he's actually like hot and rich. And a family moves in next door, and the wife becomes obsessed with their lives basically, like their lifestyle, and wants to replace the wife.
Love it.
It like gives you vibes. It gives kind of like overly obsession, but it also does kind of a flip-floppy situation. So it starts in like the now, where I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's like the first chapter, but it like flips between current and then the past. So you kind of like watch their story unfold while flipping back to the present. And like, so you get glimpses of the truth from the present, but there's holes missing that then you have to like continue to read and it like makes more sense and it clicks and you're like, whoa, it's awesome. Next, I want to read Ruin and Rising, which is the third book of Shadow and Bones. As you guys know, love me Shadow and Bones. I am excited to read. Oh, do I keep saying Bones?
Yeah.
Shadow and Bone. I love the series so much, and I haven't read the third one just because we've had so many Drink Read Fabio books to read, and I had like some cutesy romances on my TBR that I wanted to wrap up this summer with. So I'm going to start that for Vol, and I'm very excited to do that, and then move on to Six of Crows, which I'm hoping to finish that series this season. Mm-hmm. Next, I want to read From Blood and Ash. So this is one I was recommended by actually one of my mom's friends, mm-hmm. who loves Court of Thorns and Roses, and said, Kate, have you read From Blood and Ash? Because apparently it's just like Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah, I have that one on my TBR for like forever.
Yes.
It was trending on Book Talk like from the beginning.
Yes, it's apparently like the same vibes, and I love that vibe. So obviously I gotta read it, and it's fall, so you gotta do it. Next, I want to read Tender is the Flesh, which is the weird like futuristic book where people eat humans.
Oh no.
Yes, but they don't really call them humans, and it's like a whole different level where like the world is ending and the only meat you can get now is other humans.
Oh,
I know, but it's like everywhere, and I'm so excited. It seems so creepy and cool.
That's crazy.
I know. And then I want to read Court of Vampires. Which, have you heard of this book?
No.
It's another series, and it's so Halloween. It's about a princess vampire who basically saves a werewolf, mm-hmm. But the thing is like werewolves and vampires do not mix. So if people find out, did you know?
They don't get along.
They don't get along. So if people found out that she saved him, she's going to be murdered. Like they're gonna like sentence her to death. Yeah. So it's like very crazy.
Very good.
The next book I want to read is The Red Queen, because kingdoms, princesses, love it. Love that kind of like different vibe, fantasy world of princesses, and I haven't read one in a while, so I would love to get another one. Yeah. And The Silent Patient, because Sophia raves about it so much, I had to put it on there.
It's so fun, y'all. It's crazy.
Also Verity. I mean, come on. It's the perfect season for Verity.
We have to.
Which is about a writer who is hired to complete a book that was being written by someone who has passed, and her husband hires someone to write her book, and crazy things are found out apparently. Mm-hmm. I heard it's crazy. And then also The Inheritance Games, because again, Sophia raves about them, and when Sophia raves about a book, I have to read it.
And everyone loves them, so you gotta get in on it.
You gotta get in on it. And lastly, I want to read The Handmaid's Tales, if I can fit it in. Yeah. Because I started watching the show, and I really, really like it a lot. Yeah. I just think it's a little bit gory at times, and like kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety to watch.
Me too.
And I'm a lot better at reading things like that instead of watching it, and I really, really like the show. Like I really like the story, I like the plot line.
I was thinking about doing those books too, but because I was the same way. Like I love the show, and the acting and everything, the story is so interesting, but like I could only do so much at a time because it made me feel like so icky and anxious.
I can only watch like one episode at a time,
but it's really good.
But it's so good, and it honestly probably just like shows how good of how good of actors they are in the show. But I think reading it would be a lot better and a lot more entertaining for me personally. Also, I think it would help me then be able to watch the show better. Yeah. Because I feel like when I know kind of what's going to happen, the anxiety isn't as high when it comes to watching things.
True.
Because I can't watch like horror movies or like spooky things, but I can read them. Yeah. And it's totally fine when I read it, I think, because I can kind of go at my own pace, and I can, visualize what I want to visualize.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're not going to visualize something gory that's like
too much.
Like what it's going to look like in real life.
And if it's too much, I can just like pull my eyes away.
You're like, no, let's not think about that and move forward with the story.
So yes, those are my TBRs for fall, and I'm so excited. Guys, I don't think you understand how excited I am to like read something new. I'm very, very, very ready for it.
Yeah.
So yes, what about you? Do you have any last thoughts?
Well, fall's my favorite season, so I'm really excited. I feel like it's the perfect season to just curl up with a book and be cozy, and I'm kind of over the like cutesy romances right now, and
I feel like everybody is.
I know, that's what I'm hearing everywhere.
Yes, every bookstagrammer, every book YouTuber.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, I'm so over it.
Because so many came out this summer, and so we were all reading them, and now we're like, okay, we can't do this anymore, everyone. So now we're like on the opposite train, and we're like, thrillers, fantasy, let's do it. Come on.
I also think like the summer vibes just are like sweet romance. Like when you're sitting at the beach,
easy.
or at the pool, you just want to like feel like you're in love, and you're like flouncing around with your beau and having a great time.
Yeah.
And then
fall's like, let's get into it.
Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. I'm ready, and we've already kind of started. So
yeah,
we'll keep you guys updated on our thoughts of these books, and please let us know if you're reading along with us, or if you have read any of our recommendations or TBRs and want to let us in on a little secret.
Yeah, give us any recommendations if you think there's like, Sophia and Kate, you literally need to read these ones. And follow us on Instagram, TikTok, you know, like, subscribe, all those things, comment, everything. And we'll see you guys next time
on Drink, Read, Fabio.
Bye.